Good morning, my countrymen. Good to see you. First off, I'd like to acknowledge all the Gumatj mob here. Thank you for putting this forum on, and special mention to our gallery. Truth, reconciliation, constitutional amendment, a vision that we have. My generation, we fought for land rights. We had a vision. After land rights, we looked at where we're going to go. And we came up with this word, or we found this word called self-determining, or self-determination. As our struggle gained momentum, we talked about forming an economic base and being able to enjoy the fruits of sovereignty in our own land. Over the generations, we've debated this issue, and we come up with all these statements like we come up with the Kalkaringi statement, we come up with the Bachelor statement, we come up with all these statements, and now we're at the Uluru statement. I come from Murijulu, at the base of Uluru. I come from a third world community to where 20 to 30 people live in one house, where all the problems are there. But I came from this little community where we're stitched up. We're stitched up by the ABC, the Late Line program, and we were stitched up by a bloke by the name of Mel Bruff. He came through that community and said all these bad things that have taken place. But when the coverage of this community, that they said all these bad things were happening in Murijulu, there was sex rings, there was child molestation, there were paedophiles, there were there's wife bashers, there were people who didn't want to have a job. But when they took this photograph of this place, they termed Murijulu, must be beyond all the people at Murijulu, that rock had changed shape. They got another community who had an epidemic of petrol sniffing, and they said it with us at Murijulu, because Uluru being the icon of Australia. Coming through and then suspending our human rights, the Discrimination Act, and therefore suspending our human rights. They always know that they know the best for us. Well, if they'd known the best what's for us, we'd be in a better position today than what we are here now. Last year, a man of destiny stood up here and talked. A man of destiny, Malcolm Bligh at Turnbull. The rum revolution going to bite him in the bum. And Galloway said to everybody in this crowd, "Do you trust the Prime Minister?" And there was dead silence. Shows you how much Australians think about this lad. Constitutional entrenchment of a voice. Just to put it out there, or to plant a seed. The Northern Territory Land Rights Act is 42-year-old. The Northern Territory Self-Government Act is 40-year-old. So, we've spent a lot of time debating issues in the Land Council where we had visions, and now we've achieved some of these visions, but not all people have land rights. And the Northern Territory have partial self-government. Since self-government, we, the Aboriginal people of the Northern Territory, have voted for our representatives in Parliament in the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly, and it was then one House of Reps, but now we've got two and two senators. We voted for this, and we voted for that, and we voted for this party and that party. But when the intervention came down, they extinguished the sovereignty of the Northern Territory government because, the people in Parliament could only rule for the white fellas. But when it came down to us, no, sorry. The government knew best. The government knew best in a genocidal practice. I believe the strongest churches. Yeah, we may have got rid of leprosy. We still got trachoma, but we've got new diseases. Meningococcal. How come all the young people in the remote areas of territory got to get inoculated when the people in the main cities don't? That's caused from poverty. That's caused from neglect. That's caused from government policies. These sorts of things. The truth is there for all to see. Your eye, it will tell you no lie. It won't. If you look, you have a look inside and you'll see the truth. A voice to Parliament. In the Northern Territory, we have organisations called the Land Councils. A voice. That's effectively been our voice for the last 40-odd years. In effect, for 27 years, it was the only opposition that was here in the Northern Territory. The Labor Party really didn't exist. And so the land councils and the Aboriginal people were the only opposition. Maybe, food for thought, when we look at a voice, this is only my take, mind you, if we retweak the land councils, allocate portfolios to those land councils, and have direct funding from the Grants Commission so we can implement it. I'm looking at my old friends and Bob and Bill and them mob down there, Fred, and looking at these sorts of things. If we can have representatives via the land councils into a voice into the federal parliament, in both houses of federal parliament. Advisory body, we had nothing. Advisory body, I know, I've been there. I was advisory body under Malcolm Fraser and Bob Hawke, the little bastard sacked me. So, we've got to be able to look at longer term things when you're talking about what a voice could be. But I believe if you retweak the Land Rights Act, the Northern Territory Self-Government Act of 78, and the Land Council and the Land Rights Act, and look there, maybe with guarantees of direct funding to a self-governing body made up by Aboriginal people. Let us make our own mistakes. Let us make our own mistakes. Because look what the mob's in charge now. Look what they've done. The record is there for all to see. There. Have a look what they've done. When we go for a treaty, we must not only look at just an organisation, but we must have access and membership of the 3 tiers of governance. Whether it be the legislature, or whether it be the economic parts of the membership of the Grants Commission, but also the judiciary. We've got all our young people, and I call them the children of the intervention now. They're locking them up in jail. The kids are stringing themselves up. Criminalising the children. I talk to the young people, and they say to me, Uncle Vincent or Pop, we feel like we're criminals because we have black skin. That's how it's going. They've demonised all the men. They've emasculated all us Aboriginal men. They're putting that bloody balls in the pocket. They've taken all the men's power away, and this is what they're doing. And they're demonising us, men. It makes me angry. But there's hope. A treaty will not hurt anybody. It'll enhance Australia as a nation. We've gone around and we've gone through the loops, the ropes. When the High Court recognised native title exists in Australia, we don't want just to be able to have a right to dig a guana out of a hole. We don't. We believe that we can offer Australia some things. Why not all areas of Australia that has recognised native title, why don't they have languages, Aboriginal languages in the school? A good start. If our children learn our languages, they're going to teach their grandparents. They're going to have no baggage, these young kids learning languages in schools. It's a start. We've got to be able to start somewhere. I've seen politicians come and go here in the Territory. Some people really tried. I've seen senior bureaucrats come and go. They've tried really hard. I've seen some of our leadership come and go. They've all tried. As a collective, we as Australians, we can achieve and we can be a model to the rest of the world. If we just... I'm an ex-soldier, so I religiously go to Anzac Day every year. But down at Uluru, we have our little Anzac Day dawn services. But we've got a lot of Kiwis there too. And you can go dawn service and you can hear them. The New Zealanders, when that sun come up, just getting pink, they'll say a blessing in Māori. And then they'll sing their national anthem in Māori. But it won't come to my countrymen. They'll sing, Advanced Australia Fair. They'll mumble the bloody thing because they don't know it. You know, just those little things. Just to put a little bit of light-heartedness in it, because we're going to need it. But I say to you, my fellow countrymen, I've got a lot of respect for a lot of my old friends out there in the white society of my Australian brothers and sisters out there. If we are to be able to take this debate further, we must have white people involved in this too. When under Malcolm Fraser, old Malcolm talked to us about a treaty. We talked to Malcolm about a treaty, but he told us to go and get another word, and so we come back to the word called makarata from this area. But Malcolm charged the then National Aboriginal Conference, the forerunner of ATSIC, to go out and do some research. We went and done that research. We got 24 points out of it. But at that time, the international movement of Indigenous peoples came through the World Council of Churches. And from there, we met, us Blackfooters, meeting up together at the World Council of Churches, and so we decided to form the World Council of Indigenous Peoples. And over the decades, internationally, Indigenous people from all over the world, we met in forums and we came up with a document called the Declaration of Indigenous Rights throughout the world. That document went before the General Assembly of the United Nations. And guess what? First time around, our government, the Australian government, the New Zealand government, the American government, the Russian government, some other bloody government, only 5 of them didn't recognise it. But then Australia and these other nations were shamed into agreeing with the rest of the world that there should be rights for Indigenous peoples. We must use that document as a foundation of developing treaty and treaty negotiations here in Australia. So, land councils to become a self-governing body with direct funding and membership of the judiciary. Because, just in closing, I'd like to just remember some of my old partners in the struggle. Rupert Maxwell Stewart. Rupert, in case anybody don't know, he was stitched up for a murder in a place called Ceduna in South Australia, and he was sentenced to death. And what only saved him was his appeal to the Privy Council of England. That used to be our High Court once. But when we done the findings on the bomb testing at Maralinga, Yami Lester was a head runner in that. But Australia had broken the bloody constitutional ties with Britain, so we had no right of redress there. Mm-hmm. Now, our only port of call now is the High Court of Australia. Yeah, we've still got they created a revolution in their handing down of the Mabo decision. But some things can be made clear in the future coming from that decision as we go down to a treaty. It can be done. The research is already there. Now they've got these other committees to come along and chop wood for practice, as I say. So food for thought. Where do we go to tomorrow? Young people out there, do you realise that more than 50% of the young Aboriginal people in the Northern Territory are not registered to vote? 50%. Yet you young people, they make you, if you're unemployed, they make you work for the dollar. So why not do a little bit of training when you're working for the dole and register to vote and learn how to vote? You workers out there, get out and enrol the young people to vote. And that's the way that you can claim your tomorrow and start developing some sort of fire in the belly. As my old friend Charlie Perkins would say, where is the fire in the belly? I'm a Charlie's angel, mind you. Mm-hmm. But everybody, I wish your deliberations and your conversations over the next couple of days, I wish it well. Any of you want to come up and have a yarn? We can tell this yarn for hours into the night by campfire. Thank you.